Sup fam, welcome back. I'm gonna try to make this little intro quick. So I took some pieces of video, put the original in the description. Mostly what I cut out is just the robotic police force and the AI police force that they're creating. I have referenced it in some previous videos, but if you want to check what he has a little bit more detail, and I put that in the description too if you want to check it out. So also going to reference you back to one of my previous videos where they're coming after your guns, because they are going to be doing that. It's probably going to happen on July 4th. So just be aware that that's coming and get saved. So enjoy the video.
Well, here we are, once again at the throngs of media chaotic narrative. Whether it be mainstream media or its henchman appendage, social media, the trauma continues. Welcome to the maelstrom, the collective confusion of 2020 that will forever go down in history books as the year that truly opened the 21st century and ended the era of the third industrial revolution, thereby beginning the next era, the era of the 21st century technocracy, the fourth industrial revolution. Firstly, by fomenting a global reset, which will entail a new global economy, a new culture, new infrastructure, and new policies. In order for this to take place, especially in a place like America, individualism must be deconstructed to produce a hive mind and collectivist perspective fit for the global socialistic system of inclusivity and sustainability. This can be done in several ways, mainly by creating a situation that will collapse the current economy. One way to do this is to get the public to support the idea of dismantling capitalism, just in time for them to usher in their global socialistic state of techno-fascism.
We want an end to the profit at all costs mentality, because if we don't build an economic future with people at the centre in a sustainable frame where we are respectful of our planetary boundaries and the need to change our energy and technology systems to have a living planet for human beings, the world could fund it right now, and yet 70% of the world's people have no social protection. That's respectful of public services and not simply trying to make profit of them.
I believe it is very important for countries to recognize that, there are some essential services that need to be provided in terms of healthcare, in terms of education, in terms of good governance, in terms of social safety, that cannot be compromised on. This is a virus that that doesn't respect borders. It crosses borders, and as long as it is in full strength in any part of the world, it's affecting everybody else. So this requires global cooperation to deal with it. Countries, they have to find ways of raising revenues, and progressive taxation could be one form of it. We talked about solidarity tax that may be needed in some countries. Nature strikes in ways that we cannot imagine, and we've seen one. And climate change is, could be even worse.
Set up a new world order after World War II. We're now in a different world than we were then. What can we be doing differently? And the World Economic Forum, I think, has a big responsibility in that as well, to be pushing the reset button and looking at how to create well-being for people and for the earth. I think the key is to put the health of people and the planet first. And that's what's happening on COVID-19. And what we're learning from this crisis and pandemic is it is possible to switch it.
A new world order.
For 2020, what other important conversations do you think need to be had?
We are living in a world which becomes more and more disintegrated. How to keep such a multipolar, multi-conceptual world together, I think will be at the forefront. Some people would say multilateralism has to be again cultivated in Davos. But I see also, I would call it that we have urgency in emergency related to the environmental issues, climate change, but also biodiversity and so on. We face an emergency situation. And we have not yet really the sense of urgency to address those issues. We see it now with the fires in Australia. And of course, it's relatively difficult to get such a sense of urgency if the stock markets are doing so well as we see now.
So since stock markets are doing so well, meaning since the economy is perceived as stable, and this perceived stability is keeping society complacent, how could one disrupt this complacency? How could one increase the urgency of emergency, as Schwab so eloquently put it? Well, but of course, create a crisis that cannot be ignored, and be sure that it destabilizes that comfy economy. That'll shake society right out of their social media stupor. To avoid blame or discovery, as well as supply the perfect opportunity to reset society, the establishment would be most safe in constructing some type of crisis of which to bring order. Let's not forget the importance of crisis either. They are not simply opportunities for change, but they also are exempt from constitutional intervention, and sovereignty is a defunct concept, placed on a backlog or waiting list. Therefore, an international change that would not coincide with the interests of its people nor its constitution requires more clandestine methods to be realized. We are now experiencing this realization in the form of crisis, combined disasters. How about a crisis provided in the form of a phantom menace, an invisible threat? So invisible, one would not find a need to prove it exists. This would provide the opportunity to kill several birds with one stone. Essentially, weaken social morale to form a docile population ripe for detailed instruction. Destroy a long-standing system of institutions and industries that pose obstacles to the new order of things, whilst comprising the associated economy in such a way that creates plausible deniability and smooths over the imminent collapse that was going to happen anyway. So we can clearly see that the crisis has been displayed to society through the fear and mongering of viral infection, and the moral appeals to systemic racism and racial oppression. But what have both of these orchestrated psychological operations provided in response? Well, we have already discovered the economic compromise that a feigned pandemic can produce. But we also can discover the controlled demolition of infrastructure, institutional and industrial, the toppling of complete facets of society that riots and inexorable protest have contributed. Nothing makes a bigger and heavier hammer than a plethora of unparented, lost, and angry, spoiled first world children of the digital age. And once you can adjust their visions such that all that they can make out with their two eyes are different examples of nails, well, you will find yourself with a worthy weapon, more than a mere tool from the shed. And precisely here, like slaves being used to rebuild a new temple of worship, media reaction revolutions are being used to deconstruct the old world and usher in the new. Yes, precisely here we have witnessed the weaponization of the youth, the ill and barbaric, the pissed off and tired, the pathologically progressive, and the malignant utopian. Just like climate change is not about the environment, and CV19 is not about keeping you safe, Black Lives Matter as a movement has nothing to do with Black lives, nor the rehabilitation of Black peoples. It has all to do with using the plight of the Black population as a ploy, or as actual matter, to be utilized to usher in a new global order, the Great Reset. If you want the brutal truth, no lives matter. You are all but simple objects, not people. You will be allowed little outside of technological trinkets to keep you busy. Power, equality, or humane consideration is out of the question. It is but a figment of your imagination. This power to the people, equality, and all the utopian nonsense Rousseau, Marx, More, Wilde, and the rest have sung into your delicate ears. In this new world, you, black, white, yellow, brown, are but a specialized tool in the form of a human being. A shiny hammer to assist in building this brave new world. A new world where Black people will not see rehabilitation nor liberation, but deeper enslavement, along with the rest of the multitude. The technocracy is not about race or equality. It is about faith in its methods. It is about servitude and obedience. You are merely a means to an end to which you do not know, nor its authors. And your pride, pain, and hopes are being used as ammunition against you and against society as a whole. You play but a role, a 15-second line of fame. As you post to Instagram your simulated making of history, your live-action role-play revolution, you slowly slip into a deeper state of sleep. The virtual abyss becomes your sunken place. No longer a safe space. If you want solutions, yet you are still attempting to locate them in this life, you will remain in search for things of which you will never find. See, the fallen nature of mankind is beyond the surface matters of race. All man, black and white, will hold you in contempt. Your every king will fail you. In this world, your tears will forever flow. And on this earth, your cries will never be answered. Precisely because the answers are simply not found here. And until you come to this truth, you will remain in bondage. Without the experience of bondage, how can one know what it is to seek freedom? If earth were blissfully free, equal, and no pain existed, man could not know the extent of his gifts, nor would he wish to seek anything outside of himself. Choose whom you will serve this day.